The champ is here.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
MH.
Yes, he is the DB of the show. And we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here, interviewing the best professionals in the game and in the boardroom, covering it all, laughing at it all while providing a platform to be heard. All right, so you know how we do it, man. We got to bring him in, give him the proper intro. So you talk about a full circle black and gray moment, all right? This former athlete, now multiple-time Emmy winner. He's a brand marketer and producer for some of the top brands you may have heard of before. So we're talking ESPN, Spotify, and for the culture, you guys all remember TV One. So, hey, he's an amazing creator that believes that telling stories brings people together. And today, he's going to tell us his story. So please clap it up for manager of video production for the Raiders, Edward Francis McGee, but we're just going to call him Eddie. I got to go. But clap it up, man. Clap it up, man.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I had to hit you with the government really quick, man.
Yeah,
all right.
I appreciate that.
You got it. So how we start our show is a shoot your shot moment. This is where we ask all of our guests to tell us a time or a story when you shot your shot and bet on yourself, man. So give us a specific example of when you shot your shot, win or lose.
I bet on myself all the time, man. So I don't know. That's a good question. I would say probably. You know what? I'm gonna go with this story. A story from my athletic career. Shot my shot when in college. Bet on myself. You know, leaving college, going into you know, trying to extend my career at the pro level. All my life, quarterback, man. Played quarterback and since a youngin'. Played quarterback in high school, was a man, played quarterback in college. And towards the end of my collegiate career, I was like, okay, quarterback at the next level for me is not really looking like that feasible. You know what I mean? So how can I extend my career and make myself a little bit more versatile and more marketable? So I started, and Wildcat was popping back then. All right. It was the Wildcat package was in style. So started playing receiver, and that really to me was a time where like I think I shot my shot at myself to say, hey, look, it's something new, something different, a little bit scary if I'm being honest with you, because I never, mentally I could do it. Physically was the question, right? That transition, and it panned out. I was able to extend my career for however long I was able to do that, and it panned out. I got a taste of it, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, you got to deal with them dogs over there on the other side.
Them BBs, hey, them safeties, man, the boys coming. Yeah.
Eddie, where your love for sports start?
Great question, dude. I would say definitely my favorite or my first memories of like just falling in love with just having fun with the game came from my dad. Came from my pops, man. We would, before I ever laced up a cleat, before I ever put on the helmet, a shoulder pad, we was running around the house playing tackle football, me and my dad and my brothers. And that's where like the love came from, bro. Like, man, I remember my dad coming home, picking us up from school, whatever. And the first thing we do before we opened the refrigerator, before we did anything, we dropped the book bag, grabbed the football, and just start running around we live in a 2-bedroom apartment, man, running around the apartment, trying to, make moves, and then ultimately, like, he'd catch us and slam us on the bed. Boom. Dude, like, our bed growing up, man, wasn't no frame, wasn't none of that. Our bed was sitting on cinder blocks because we broke all of them. That's how, we was playing like that. We was playing rough like that. So, like, that's definitely where my love for the game came from.
Love that.
So one word that in doing some research and reading a couple articles that you have done, about your playing career, but one word that you constantly kind of used was competitiveness. So is that where that initially started, just in the apartment grinding, or where did that start?
Yeah, my competitive nature. So I mean, I started playing like basketball was the first organized sport that I played. Right, started at like 5, right, and yeah, just my competitive nature. Like I grew up in a house with all guys, or all boys, or my brothers, my dad, and around the neighborhood, dude. Like you don't want to lose, right? Because I hate to hear people chirp. You know what I mean? People chirping, that mean I lost. I came out on the short end. And so yeah, my competitiveness just comes from that, from hating,
Nice.
not hating to lose. You know what I mean? Like I can't stand it. It grinds me up when I don't come out on top. So
Nice. So we're gonna come back to that. So born in the DC area or grew up in the DC area?
hey, look, I'm gonna say this for the record. You feel me? This for the record. People from DC don't claim DMV. I'm from DC. All right. I'm from the inner city. I'm from DC, Southeast Washington, DC.
There it is, noted, stamped, put out there. So you went to what's it, H.D. Woodson High School, and I mean, geez, just like doing the research on that, you guys have produced some athletes, and notably a lot of NFL athletes. But just not that. Your other sport that you loved or was track. So you did a little track in high school as well as football. So what was the 200 your thing, or what was your sports? I mean, what was your event? Sorry about that.
Yeah. So I ran the 1, the 2, and the high jump. But grudgingly I had to run the 4. That wasn't for me. 4, not for me, man.
I don't think anyone's come on here and love the 4, man. I think that's just a part of it, right? Like, especially when you get that last minute call, coach, like, hey, I need you to run it, right?
I got a funny story about the 4 and the last minute call. We went to pin relays, and this is my first time ever going to pin relays, dude. So I didn't expect for it to be as massive and as such a big deal as it was, right? So I'm ready, That aside, like, the gravity of it was cool. Like, that was exciting. But my coach is like, hey, look, so-and-so just pulled up. Sammy, you got to run the 4. And you're going to run lead. I'm like, what? Come on.
Oh, boy.
Come on. So I do it, right? I'm running the 4 like I run the 2. I'm getting out. I get out. And boy, was that a mistake, because that monkey jumped on my back so quick. I almost crawled across the handing that baton off, man. It was a horrible experience.
Yeah, man. That 4x4 race was it's always at the end. It's a man race. I ran the second leg, and I was decent 400 runner, sub 50. So I felt I was good for a high school, 4x400 runner. But there was some thing in the state championship or state, our state meet, where they put all the fast dudes the second leg. I don't know what it was. I don't know if there was some kind of conspiracy against me. But yeah, I learned a lot that race. But we some good memories about the
cats running 45.
Oh man, and I'm about to bust my hamstrings trying to keep up. What is this? Nah, good stories, bro.
No, so continuing with that, with the track, and just because the Olympics are coming up, do you still follow that? Like, where did that fall on the line, right? Because you said first thing organized was basketball, right? Yeah. And of course, football ended up leading the way. Where the track, and do you still kind of follow any of the track, right? Like, do you follow like Sha'Carri Wilson, Richardson, what she's been doing, and just kind of like the Olympic team coming up here?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm not all the way tapped in as I probably should be or would like to be. But whenever this time of the year comes around, I'm all the way, I'm tapped in, I'm dialed in. So track for me I started in high school, and it came for me out of like curiosity and also necessity. You know what I mean? Like, so I started running in this is my sophomore or junior, I think my junior year.
Okay.
Maybe the end of my sophomore year. I can't really remember. But so two things. When I say curiosity, curious because
girls ran track. No,
girls ran track. 100%. That's what it was.
Hey, 100%, right?
I'm not gonna lie. That was a big part of it, right?
And my necessity was my head football coach is a track coach, so we had to be out there.
But the necessity part of it was I was a tall, lanky kid, and I needed to learn how to like really run more fluidly. And football obviously like you run a little bit differently because you're bracing for tackles and things like that. But I wanted to get faster, and me just playing football and at quarterbacks specifically, like you break out the pocket every now and then, but they would call me like spaghetti legs in high school, bro. That's how bad it was. Like I was Forrest Gump. I was running, flipping over my feet. I was awkward, right?
So no, that's real, right? Like, because people don't understand that there is a technique to running, and people need to learn how to run for the different things. So that's amazing that you was in that tool shed, honing your craft.
Yeah. Yep. So I got in the track, man, and it really just taught me my body and how to run and run properly. And once I started running, I really saw like the jump in my speed. And so, I advise any high school or junior high school athlete that's trying to take any sport, specifically football, serious, man, get in the track.
For real. Talk a little bit about your recruiting, man. We're in a different era of college football, obviously, but I feel like the quarterbacks have always been in a, kind of a crazy type of competitive. There's only one quarterback, there's more quarterbacks on the roster, but only one quarterback usually plays at a time. So talk about the competitiveness about your recruiting process and how you ultimately chose Illinois.
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, like basketball was my first love in terms of the first organized sport. So once I kind of got to the organized level of football, I didn't start playing organized football until 6th grade, 7th grade is when I first put the pads on. But fast forward to recruitment, I was just really focused on, just being good at football. I didn't know much about like how to get to college, what I should be doing in terms of like FAFSA or Schollies or none of that, right? My junior year is when I really kind of took the next step in my skill set and really like became the man in DC, right? And that's when you started seeing offer letters and letters from schools and people calling the phone, all that good stuff. But back in the day, bro, it was you get letters, you get physical letters, right? You got physical, you had to open them. You know what I mean? I don't know if they do that now, but you got physical letters in the mail by the bucket load, and then you would have guys pop into school, pop into your practices, and things like that. In terms of how I got to Illinois, funny story. To me, it's funny. I'll tell it, but I started getting recruited, right? I wasn't like super highly recruited. I didn't get like a whole bunch of D1 offers from all the Power Fives and all the good stuff. I got offers from Illinois. I got a soft offer from Maryland that ended up getting pulled. I got an offer from Rutgers, and then I got offered by like almost every HBCU. You know what I mean? And so Illinois came in, and Mike Loxley was the first guy to hit me up. And Mike Loxley is originally from DC, and him and Ron Zook had just left Florida to go to Illinois, and I was a part of like that first recruiting class. But I remember Lox coming to watch me practice, and he was one of the first guys to come watch me practice when like it was nasty outside. Like we was playing in the mud. Like, he was standing in the mud with his Gucci loafers on and looking sharp, right? But like his whole pitch to me was like we need guys that aren't going to be afraid to step on a field when we play Penn State and that row and that Nittany Lion roar, right? He's like, we need gangsters, we need goons, we need guys from DC, we need guys like you, right?
Okay.
That's what he told me. So I was like, hey,
Okay.
You talking about language?
talking about language, right? And he, and he just kept it a buck with me, right? He was like, hey, look, we're also recruiting other quarterbacks. It's going to be an open competition, and competition, my love language. I'm like, bet, sign me up, right? But the funny story is, it was Ron Zook, who was the head coach. He came to visit, and if you guys have looked up HD, so I'm not sure if you guys looked up the Tower of Power, which is where I went, right? Not the Palace, which is what it is now. The old version of HD. It was a straight tower, 9 floors straight up, and it looked like a prison. That's how it would look, dude. It's like, go on Google and look it up. And I remember Zook coming through, going through the metal detectors and watching, and he came like in the morning when all the students were coming through the school. So
Right.
our process of getting into school was like TSA. Take your coat off, take your belt off, all that. Take your bag, put it through the machine, boom, boom, boom. And they did the same thing to Zook. It's like, you ain't special, brother. Take that coat off. And I remember him just being real cool about it. And when he got through, he was like cracking a joke to the security and was like, man, what is this, prison? He was like real smooth and cool about it. And I just like, oh man, I like this dude. Like he's not full of himself. You know what I mean? And then they offered me, bro, and I was going in the other part of it too. Like Locks was from DC, Zook was hella down to earth and cool. And I was going there with a bunch of guys from DC. So I was going there with Vontae Davis, Trayvon Bellamy, guys who I know and played against while I was in high school. And so we was like, oh, let's go make this like DC pipeline and go take over. And that's my recruitment story to Illinois.
Love it. So, Illinois, all right, one of the first of the Big Ten, one of the founding schools of the Big Ten, man. So, how do you feel about kind of like how the conference has changed up a little bit, right? Or just kind of the conference realignments, man? Do you think, it's softening what it means to go there? The rivalry, like you said, playing the Penn States and things like that with so many schools in the Big Ten. How do you feel about that realignment? Or just college realignment in general?
Yeah, I think the college realignment in general is whack. If I'm being honest, like it to me, it takes away from some of the tradition. Some of
the rivalries.
Yeah, the rivalries. Like the rivalries between the core Big Ten schools will always remain the same. But when you put in these other random schools, it's like, y'all not Big Ten. It's like y'all from over there. Like, you know what I mean? So it to me, it does hurt the authenticity and the tradition of it. But I guess it's all for money, I guess. I don't know.
Change, right? That's the only constant thing in this world is change, right?
Yeah.
So kind of getting into your college, you were recruited as a quarterback, right? And you alluded to it a little bit in your shoot your shot moment. But, all 3 years, kind of like looking at your profile as quarterback, but you started to play wide receiver. When did that, movement kind of transition kind of happen, right, in football? Because, like, we've all played and that, you recruited as this and maybe different head coaches and things like that. Like I started off as linebacker before I became an outside linebacker from standing to 3-point, right? So what was the evolution for you, coming in as a quarterback and then playing both?
Yeah. It was, see, this is what I mean by like Zook being a real one, right? So it was my junior year. And so, Zook, my guy, we had a one-on-one, and I was like, hey man, look, this new OC is coming in. Let me preface it this way. At that time, Juice was Isaiah Williams, my guy. It's my dog. We were roommates all through college. That's my homie. But he was a big time recruit, like rivals, number one quarterback, all that good shit, good stuff. And he was starting. Now, my redshirt freshman year, technically my sophomore year, Juice got hurt in the first game against Mizzou. I come in, kill it, and since then we were like going back and forth. He'd play a half, I play a half. If he started to struggle, I come in, save the day, and it worked. But at some point, Zook just decided to stick with Juice for whatever reason. That wasn't. I can assume what it was, but it was his decision. I respected it. For me, I was always a team guy. Like I understood that, like, if I put the team first, whatever I wanted was going to come as long as I put my full effort into it, and gave everything I had to the success of the team, because the more we win, the more eyes, blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, going to my the end of my junior year, I wasn't playing as much, and I was kind of getting frustrated, and I was about to bounce. All right, so me and Zook had a conversation. I was like, look, man, I love you. I love your program. I love it here. But, dog, I'm on this pine. Like, you know what I mean? West Virginia calling. That's not too far from the crib. Pat White looked good over there. He about to leave, you know? I could do what Pat White doing for sure.
Super facts.
And so he was like, look, you can do that, but how about you stick it out here, and we start moving you around at quarterback and also at receiver and putting different packages in. We got this new OC coming in, Paul Petrino, who was at Louisville, very successful. You're going to love his scheme. And he sold me. And little, behold, it actually worked out in my benefit, because Paul Petrino was a genius to me. He just knew how to get the ball in playmakers' hands and put them in spots to win. And so that's kind of how that worked out.
So I'm sure there's you said that you were a teammate, but we all play with a little edge on our shoulder, right? And a bit of an ego. So I guess talk about the mental part of it of like, hey, I got to be a teammate, but I want to do my thing. And second part to that is, you mentioned it a little bit, but now you can transfer with no penalties or anything now with college football. Would you have, in today's rules, transferred?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer that two ways. I'm gonna answer the first one. Today's,
I'm thinking that skip from Friday when he's like, I got that money, and I said I wasn't gonna leave the
hood. Dude, today you can leave whenever you want. Mm-hmm. So me being a teammate didn't start that way. Let me just preface it that way. I came in wanting to be the guy, but my body wasn't ready. I came in 175 pounds soaking wet, and Juice was rocked up. My body wasn't ready. And so me redshirting was actually the best thing that could have happened for me, because I got to get my body right, and then just adjust to the speed of the game. And so once I got my shot, I was ready. But yeah, so like this transfer portal stuff now, dude, like, if we had it back then, would I have done it? I'm not sure. I think that if I would have done it, I would have did it once. Like, guys doing it 3-4 times now, right? I do believe in the value of riding it out to prove to yourself that you can the situation you committed to and you step into, that you can make the best of it.
And face adversity. That's
face adversity. Yes, bro. Like, I feel like a lot of these new kids lack accountability. They lack competitiveness, and they scared to compete. To me, that's what it seemed like.
Right.
Because why else would you leave? Why would you leave LSU to go to Oregon State and then go to wherever? It's like, yo, what you running from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it ain't always green on the other side, and you keep running. You just seem like you scared. But for me, like it would only been one move, and wherever that next move would have been, maybe I would have stayed. You know what I mean? Wouldn't have been 4-5 times.
I get that. All right, man. So going from college, man, and MH may jump back and have a college question or two, but just kind of going into in the game in your career, I want to touch with some of the pro life, man. So talk about the draft process, right? Like your senior year, like you made the change, the new offensive coordinator. He put you in some good situations. I mean, even though you weren't as happy your junior year, it seems like those are the 2 years you took off. You took off your junior year in high school. That's when you started getting all those offers. In your junior year in college, I think you're the only FBS player that had those certain stats like 300. What was it? 300 passing yards. What was it? 100 rushing and like 100 passing as well. But either way, with all of that momentum, you're getting into the draft. What was your draft process like, and how did that go for you?
I came out during that lockout.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But that didn't. I mean, look, I knew it was a slim chance for me to get drafted, right? So my projection was anywhere between like the 6th and 7th round, right? And I had some good people around me who told me, like, look, and sometimes it's better to go undrafted because then you get to choose. You get to look at who wants to bring you in. You get to look at those rosters, look at how many receivers they bring or they keep, and you get to try to make a educated guess on what might work out best for you. Look at the schemes, look at what they look for in their receivers, all that good stuff. So going undrafted was kind of the best thing for me because I was looking at the Colts, was looking at the Raiders, looking at the Saints, and I think the Falcons. And I was like, okay, the Raiders keep hella receivers, like they keep 6, and they just want speed, right? And then I looked at the guys that were on the roster the year before. I was like, all right, they got Darius Hayward-Bay, he's the guy. They got Jacoby Ford, he's like the other guy, and then Lewis Murphy, like those are 3 guys. And then Chad Shillings was another big body guy. And my agent was good. He got some inside information. Just they were looking for speed with size, and I'm 6'4", 215, running 4.4. So you know what I mean? I'm like, all right, that's where I want to go. And plus my dad was a Raiders fan. And so I was like, yo, let me go ahead and I can. All I got to do is beat one guy out, right? Because they would keep the 6, and that 6 was a P squad, and they were going to have 5 that were up. So man, I just need to beat one guy. If I can beat a guy, I got that for sure.
There's that competition right there.
Competition come out. If all I got to do is beat one guy, I'm beating them. And yeah, man. So I went out to Oakland and just locked in. And made the practice squad, bro. Yep.
I love it. We're going to bounce back to the pros, but I had one college question that EJ said that I had to ask. So I went to EJ and I a couple of years ago. We went to an nflpa. I think it was a collegiate all-star, one of the all-star kind of bowl games or the senior bowl type thing. And then this past year I went to CU, and EJ did too. CU, UCLA. So I mean, every time I walk into that stadium, the 2 times that I've been there, like the history of the Rose Bowl and all that kind of stuff, playing in it, not only playing in it in one of them record books of throwing touchdowns, man, you gotta tell me how that part felt, man.
Man, the granddaddy of them all.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and playing against USC, man, that was amazing, bro. I'm not gonna lie, that was a I won't say like it was a dream because I never dreamt of it. But it was one of those games and stadiums and fields that it was beautiful. The grass was immaculate. You know what I mean? In California and just the history of the Rose Bowl and us making it as like we went 2 and whatever, or did we go 2 and 10 the year before to go to the Rose Bowl? And really on the backs of Zook's first recruiting class, and being a part of that, it was just special, dude. And being able to go in and throw that, I'm not gonna lie, this is the honest truth. We on here, right? I'm gonna give y'all the whole truth.
Let's get it.
So I was so hyped to play USC, bro. Like I wanted to win. Like I was like, man, they got John David Booty, man. Yeah, all right, okay, yeah, okay, right, man. So I'm thinking, and we in the game plan all week. I'm thinking I'm playing a lot, right? Because I'm thinking that the packages that and the situations I'm going to get in and ball out. For whatever reason, Juice was in there doing this thing. He, them boys was nice. All credit to USC. Them boys was cold. Taylor Mays, Ray Malaluga, Chris Matthews, Brian Cushing. Them boys was unbelievable. And so when I do get in, I'm hot. I'm like pissed because I'm like, man, I low key was hoping to be in way sooner, right? We probably would have had a better outcome in my head, right? Whether right or wrong, that's how I'm thinking.
Yeah, speak on that. Yeah.
So I'm like, I get in, and Regis Aurelius Ben, receiver from DC, I say, Slim, if he call this and I see this coverage, I'm checking to this and I'm coming to you. So it just lined up, and I look at Regis in the slot, and I give him like that look, and I hit him, boom, and he take that thing to the crib. And Regis was pissed, like he throw the ball at the at the band. I get out there, to meet him in the end zone. And I'm like, man, I told you.
I told you. That's what's up.
But yeah, it was special, man. It was special.
Yeah. Nah, Kurt Herstry on the call, man. That's cool, bro. That's cool, man. I had to say I was a little jealous watching that tape, man. But that's dope, man. Proud of you, brother. That's cool, bro.
Appreciate that, bro.
All right, so NFL, man. It's always interesting, and I always love to hear the stories about, I guess, that edge. We always hear we see and publicize the folks that are the luxuries and all that, but there's another side to pros where, if you're on that part of the roster, you may be looking over your shoulder, every time a certain person walk into the locker room. So the anxiety behind that for our listeners, man, kind of tell us about that.
Dude, this is a really great question. And a really great discussion point, because that anxiety is so real, and it's not something that men don't talk about it, especially athletes and competitors. They don't talk about that, but that is real, bro. Like I'll never forget. So I remember, fast forward through the Raiders, I'm with the Jets, and I'm with the Jets, I don't know, a few weeks now, and I remember seeing Braylon Edwards come through the door, right? And I'm like, oh man. And then I get the text, hey, come. You gotta come to the office. We'll playbook. And I'm walking, and I see Braylon there. I'm like, all right, I already know what time it is. Go ahead and boom. But to that point, like, yeah, man, it's very real. Like, especially if you're a low man on the totem pole and you're trying to make a name for yourself, make the roster, and it's hard to block out, but you got to. But it's really hard to do it just because you see guys come and go every day, every week. Every week they're every Tuesday they got workouts. They tested somebody. They bring somebody in to try them out, see what they look like. And yeah, you're always curious. You want to look and see, who they got coming in. You hear the whispers, they bringing in, woo, woo. Yeah, he looked like he didn't look too good today, though. Right? But it's a very real thing. And for me, there's times when like it gets to you where you can like start to question, like, oh man, like this dude, I remember him. Like that's TJ Husmanzada. He done played for however many years. He a vet. They definitely bringing him in, right? Mm-hmm. And you wonder how it's going to land and who they're going to let go And it doesn't always mean like just because they're bringing in your position that it's going to be a positional move. It could be they move somebody from defense down to bring that guy in or whatever the case may be. But you got to stay sharp. In the NFL, bro, you got to stay sharp, man. Like you have to. Every day is an opportunity to make a name for yourself. You got to approach it that way because they looking to get better and make the roster better every day. You know what I mean? So one story, and I don't think my boy would be upset by me telling this, but Lewis Murphy's my dog, right? And Lou was Florida national champion. Lewis Murphy, he's that guy, right? And I remember going into the second year with the Raiders, they trade him, shocked out of nowhere. Like, why would you trade Lou? He cold, like he nasty. But they trade him, and I don't know, money. These things they happen. But yeah, it's a very real thing of that anxiety and that having to be on your toes.
And then, I mean, another one, like, and that's one we don't really speak about. So, yeah, once again, that was a great question. But one that does come up a lot is that ultimate transition. We talked about a lot of athletes because it happens not only on the professional level, it just happens on multiple levels. So how did you handle the transition? And, I mean, was that NFLPA kind of externship really one of those things that, because that ultimately got you into what you're doing today. But speak on, like, how you found out about it in that transition out of the league into your, to your daytime job now.
Yeah, y'all boys did y'all homework for real. Yeah, man, look, my transition, the game is always going to be done with you before you're done with it. It's only 1%, 0.5% of people who are going to be done with the game before it's done with them, right? Aaron Donald is one of them, right? But most of the time, it's going to be done with you. And so for me, it hit me hard. Not gonna lie, but it hit me really hard. We all have teammates or know of former players who hit that transition and don't know how to handle it, don't know how to get bounced back. And things go south real quick. And for me, I give all the props to the NFLPA and that externship because it really did help me refocus on the intangible things that football provided me from a team environment, from a creative environment, and from a competitive environment. All those things that make me who I am. I just had to refocus and realign my sight on what it would look like outside of physical football. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, man, the NFLPA and that externship really allowed me to get the firsthand experience. Like I knew that I loved film. I knew that I loved storytelling, but I didn't know how to go about doing it for a living or what the job titles were called or like who to talk to about it or any of that. Double back. Once I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a coach. Once I was done playing, I'm gonna be a coach.
Right.
Not really realizing that also too is a process of getting into it. It also too just ain't for everybody. Everybody ain't a coach, right? I also didn't want to be worried about getting fired every 2 years and having to move to Idaho or wherever, you know what I mean? And I wanted some kind of stability. But I say that to say I went to Indianapolis for the coaches convention, and the NFLPA was there, and they were having a seminar.
Okay.
And this was when they were first launching the externship program. And I thank God I was trying to be a coach, and I went to this seminar because I would have never heard about it. I went, and they were talking about the externship and how they were helping former players place them in fields that they were interested in, right?
Okay.
And I got a lady's card, got some people's cards, was emailing, calling, and they hooked me up. I'm from DC, so I moved back to DC. The NFLPA is in DC. Went to the office, and they were like, "Okay, cool. Let's set up some calls." And we started talking about those things, like, what are you interested in? How can we align your interests with da da da? And then that's how TV1 happened. And I got a 2-week, I think it was like a 2-week internship, something like that. But I took that as, again, competitiveness kicked in. I was like, okay, what do you do? How does that work in whole organization? Okay, you work in sales, and this is how sales works. Oh, you work in marketing. This is how marketing and sales work together. Oh, you work in production. You're a producer. What does that mean? What is B-roll? What's SOTs? Teach me that. Like, I did that, bro. I'm talking about every office, every person. I talked to literally everybody in TV1. And at the end of the day, I was like, ooh, I want to learn more about what you're doing. So it was a producer, Sydney White. I was like, take me under your wing. Like, put me on your show. I'll do whatever. I'll work for free. Just let me learn from you. And she did. And then she actually, like, after about a month or so, it's like, hey, we'll bring you on as a production assistant and we'll pay you this. And yeah, come in at this time. And so I did that, grinded it out. Apparently was doing a good job. And a woman in HR hit me up and was like, hey, people saying you're doing a good job with your athletic background. You ever thought about ESPN? And I was like, nope, but I am right now. And she was like, yeah, well, my girl works over there and she's in HR and recruiting. They have this program. I'm gonna put you in touch. So boom, then the rest is history from there. Got the ESPN and worked my way up, blah, 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 blah. So yeah.
That's dope, man. I do kind of wonder sometimes, and in some ways, I always feel like athletes, we have like those that play sports all day life type of thing and played in college and made it to professional. You know, there's a warp where your like and your passion a lot of times is that, you know. And sometimes it could be, I'm sure it's probably hard to figure out what I do like outside of what this sport has provided me. So how did you even come to the process of like, hey, this is what I like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Great question. So for me, it just took a lot of meetings with folks at the NFLPA, meetings with, I like befriended a life coach, right? And had conversations with him about, you know, about these things. Like, dude, you're not just an athlete. Like, you have other interests. Do you like movies? Do you like, you know, writing? What do you like other than lacing up cleats, right? As I get that out, remove that, right? There's something else in you that you like. Go back to when you were a kid. I was like, oh man, I used to like draw. I really love movies. I really like, you know, writing and all those things. And so like I was able to draw out like my actual interests and passions that I had stuffed under the athlete, you know what I mean? But it just took some digging. It just takes digging, yo. And a lot of guys don't do it or are afraid to do it, or feel like they're too big and don't have to do it. But
absolutely,
I'm sure it just has to be a fear thing to it, like you said. Because I mean, if you think about it, if you're the top at your profession, you are that. I'm sure it's hard for you to be like, all right, figure out what else it is. I mean, you're like, I am him. I'm him. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
That is tough.
Absolutely. So let's get back. So, you know, we kind of mentioned full circle. So, you know, currently you're at the Raiders, handling the media content there. So let's talk about some Emmys, man. I mean, y'all just racking them up right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can talk about any of the ones that you've won previously, but just recently, you know, you and the team have done a really good job. And I think one of the coolest things that I'm noticing is the schedule release. Those are becoming like a really big deal, to where it's like they circle the internet, whether it's your team or not. you're seeing like how the teams are introducing what that season lineup is today. So kind of talk to me a little bit about, what that process and the outcome was for the Raiders this year.
Yeah, the schedule release is a major tentpole event for obviously all 32 teams, right? It's the time where a lot of teams, most teams, every team, dare I say, tries to put their most creative foot forward. And look, you can get the schedule, right? Right? It's not even about the schedule anymore. It's not about who you're playing. It's not none of that. It's more so about the creativity that goes around it. So for us with the Raiders, we have a very distinguished and identifiable brand, right? Our fans know who we are. If you're not a fan of the Raiders, you still know who we are, right? And you know what we're about. And I think for us, we want to continue to stay true to that. And this year, like that was, that was the focus was how do we stay true to who we are and put things around our brand and tell a story and put elements within our piece that speak to our fan base. Like, forget everybody else, forget the Chargers and whoever else is going to take shots. We're going to talk to our fans. We're going to talk directly to us and make a pitch to to Raider Nation, because that's all that really matters, right? Is making sure that our brand is strong and that, the fans come out and they rock out with us. And so that's kind of like, that was the idea of this year's schedule release. And that was kind of hopefully the goal, and hopefully we accomplished that.
Oh yeah, y'all accomplished it. It's Louis Vuitton, bro. You don't got to mess with Louis Vuitton too much. It is what it is. Hey, telling the story of the Raiders, obviously, as employment now, but even as telling the story of the brand, experience as a player, experience as an employee, and then even you say like, your pops was a fan.
Yeah,
I know that's a full circle moment, but how is that for you?
It's pretty special, dude. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not gonna hold you. It's pretty special. Having worn that silver and black, as a player, it's a different feeling, bro. Like, it's a different feeling from just what it means to the culture, like specifically, I'm from the East Coast, but the representation from our culture as African Americans, as Black people in this country, like the connectivity is undeniable, honestly, man. Like, and Al Davis was just so smooth, bro. Like, he was so smooth, right? And so sharp, and just honestly, like one of those. He was a maverick, and this is just a guy who you cannot respect him. You know what I mean? Like the moves he made, like he didn't care about what you thought. He didn't care about what you look like. If you could win, if you could help him win, boom, right? And so Al Davis down to the trickle down into how it represents in the culture. You feel that as a player, and I feel that now working here, and seeing, being able to see it from like employees' perspective, from a fan forward, for fan facing perspective, and how the fans really connect to the brand. It runs deep, and that's something that's really special. And I don't think I know for sure all teams don't have that.
That's dope. Well, yeah, I'm wearing my all white, represent. So, MH, man, we got to jump into it, man, because time is flying, man. You ready with those quick hits?
Yeah, Eddie, just a few kind of this or that type of questions so our fans could know you better. Money or happiness?
Happiness all day.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
It's hot as hell right now. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, not summers in Vegas, but where else?
God, it's so hot. Morning or evening?
Morning.
Physical strength, mental strength?
I mean, I need some context of that, but I would go mental. Mental, okay. For sure.
Okay. You a night in or you night out?
Night in. I'm a homebody, bro.
Spotify or Apple Music?
Spotify.
Street smarts or book smart?
Come on, man.
The DC just kicked in.
Real quick.
Real quick. All right. Last one. Top 5. If you could have a top 5 of that quarterback, wide receiver transition people all time for you. Your top 5. Who will be your top 5?
Cordell Stewart.
Ooh, Slash.
Terrell Pryor was cold. He's a cold receiver, bro.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get the 5. Because who else transitioned, man?
My guy for the Steelers. Now you already said Cordell, but wasn't Hines Ward a quarterback?
Was he?
I think so.
Oh, Hines Ward got to be in there. Then.
Yeah, the college when he was in Georgia.
Yeah.
Hines Ward, Cordell, Terrell Pryor. I know I'm missing somebody great too. I like Braxton Miller. He was cool too.
Yeah, he was sweet.
And round it out with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know I got it.
I got you, Eddie, baby. I got you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the winner's circle. But like we kind of slid by this, man. But anybody still call you Tick Tick or Tick Tick?
Man, only the guys I play with, they call me Tick Tick. Man, that was a Raiders thing. But yeah, those who know, they know.
They know. There it is. Back to that competitiveness. All right, man.
Right.
We want to jump into the winner's circle, man. Here's the platform. We just we talk to our guests and let them share about what they got going on, or just kind of causes that they want to support. And with our pre-show homework, and you let us know about something that you want to support, and a smart man to support your wife's her company called 12 Hour Grind, man.
Mm-hmm.
So just tell us a little bit about the company.
Yeah. So my wife started this a few years ago, and it's really a platform for to uplift Black women in healthcare, in nursing specifically, with in all areas, right? Whether it's bringing more awareness to the benefits of breastfeeding and how that has been undereducated to our community, right? The healthcare effects, and how to speak up for yourself when when it comes to delivery in the delivery room, because Black women lead the mortality rate when it comes to unfortunate deaths during birth. And she's just dope, bro. She sells lapel pins to bring awareness to different issues. And yeah, man.
Is she Jamaican? Because she got like umpteen jobs, man. Like they sell living color, man.
Nah.
I mean, but no, it's just a full time, right? Like she is a full-time registered nurse, right? And then as MH and I can tell, putting on this podcast, it does take time. So she's blogging and putting out that information, and just taking the time to create content, man. It's definitely a lot.
Yeah, man. She is she's just as competitive as I am. It just look different, right? She's amazing. She's actually about to finish her. She already has a master's, but she's about to finish another degree to become a nurse practitioner.
Wow.
So, yeah, man. She's just dope, bro.
And there's a lot around that, and it's so. I didn't know this until like I had spent some time in Fresno, and like they were actually putting the ads on, because there's so many stigmas about in the medical field that just our culture is not listened to. And when Black women are coming in to talk to the doctors, they're just not treated the same, or they're not being listened to, and that's causing those like high mortality rates and causing other issues throughout the pregnancy. So this information is really, really dope. I think I cut you off. Did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to touch on shout out your wife for sure.
Big shout out.
But even from a man's perspective, supporting your wife and being a father and going through that process, talk about that perspective with it.
I just listen to her.
Smart man.
Nice.
Smart man all around. So how can we, as males, and not even just males, just the listeners, right? Like, how can they support? What's the best way to navigate, around? And like, of course, whatever you provide, we will put this in the show notes. But what's the best way that we can support not only us, but just our listeners as well?
Yeah, look, you can go to 12hourgrind.com. Her blog, I think it's Hey Tay Mama. And she posts a lot of great articles with information and personal stories there, just for education. And yeah, I mean, look, and us as guys, sometimes we just gotta listen, and when specifically and when it comes to like labor and delivery, speak up on their behalf, right? It's one thing if it's the way of the world, bro. It's one thing if a woman is saying like, "Hey, I'm feeling this," they might be like, okay, right? But it's another thing if her husband and the man is like, "No, listen to my wife. We're feeling this," right? It just comes out different. It sucks that it's that way, but it is what it is. And yeah, man, just go to her page, her social media, Tay_Michelle_, and grab some nuggets whenever she posting it.
Absolutely. And we're going to post, like I said, all her contents in the show notes. So it's definitely some stuff that you can read about. So if you're interested in getting more information around that, man, I think this is great information. It's needed information. Please check the show notes. And you mentioned a great word, nuggets. So this is the assist part of the show. We call this the assist, and this is where you get to drop your coaching nuggets, right? Your words to live by. So if there was like a final thought or, a quote or philosophy or words to live by that you would like to share to our members or that you would tell your younger self, please go ahead and drop that right now for us.
You can always figure it out. It's never too late. Doors are never closed. You can always figure it out. And tomorrow, and I would say, lastly, tomorrow is always a better day.
I love those. All right, MH, man, final thoughts?
My guy, appreciate you, Eddie, man. Spending some time with us, dog. It's a long time coming for this one. But thank you for sharing your story, man. Obviously a fan of you and your work and all that you do, man. Always glad to talk to you just man to man and get some life stuff from you, man. So I appreciate you giving our listeners what you always do, man. Just some good stuff, bro. So I appreciate it.
This was amazing, yo. I really appreciate y'all having me on, bro. Like, this was a lot of fun.
Man, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate that. Is there anywhere you have some great work? It's like with this time limit, man, to cover, like you said, man, everybody has a story. And we just did a broad stroke of your story, right? But is there anywhere that people can kind of see more of the things that you've done, or other places that they can follow you or get more info on just kind of what you did and how to get in the business if they want to reach out? Because even though you had a non-traditional way, there's nuggets that you can share for people that want to get into this path and enjoy creating as much as you do. Yeah.
Look, my IG, I just started it, but I only got like 4 posts, but I'm on there. But my handle is Ed_the producer. The is spelled THA. Feel free to reach out and DM me. I need to put my Vimeo and embed that within my IG page. But you can check out some of my work there. But for future work, just go to Raiders.com, go to YouTube /Raiders, and check us out.
There it is. We'll put all of that in the show notes for you as well. Definitely want to connect it. Just want to thank you again for your time again, Eddie, man. This has been a blessing. We want to thank all of our guests. I hope you enjoyed the show, man. Every Thursday, man, we drop new gems and new nuggets. So please subscribe. And remember that visual representation matters. If you see it, you can be it. And as always, we ask you, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports, the college class, the rap.